welcome. I'm really glad you carved out some time to be here with us today. Thank you for renaming yourselves. And for those that I haven't met yet, my name is Rod. I'm joining you from Manila, and I serve as the community choreographer at Pollinate Impact, which means I get to design spaces like this where we bring people into conversations where they can grow and thrive. Next slide, please. For a bit of context, Pollinate Impact is a member-led network of incubators and accelerators across the global south. And a big part of what we care about is helping impact incubators such as yourselves not just survive, but grow stronger, more resilient, and more intentional in the way that you support your entrepreneurs. And we hope that you take this as an invite as well to become a part of the network. There are many opportunities that are in store for you and many discounts which we'll talk about later in terms of the rates of our different programs. And hopefully this will help you in your journey towards becoming a more improved, a better incubator. All right, so one of the things that we've been noticing across the network is that a lot of incubators like yourselves are constantly moving. You're running your programs, you're supporting founders, you're managing partnerships, raising funds, holding teams together. And in the middle of all that activity, there's rarely enough time to pause and ask, are we really actually focusing on the right things to help our organization grow stronger? Because growth isn't always about doing more. Sometimes it's about stepping back far enough to see what's working well, where friction kept showing up, what might be quietly holding the organization back, and where limited time and energy should really be invested. And that's really where today's session comes in. Today's Growth Check Lab, Solving for Growth Hurdles, is designed to create space for that reflection, not in a vague or abstract way, but through a practical diagnostic tool grounded in the realities of incubation work. So we'll be introducing and experiencing the Incubator Effectiveness Diagnostic Tool, developed through Pollinate Impact's growth guidance program and shaped by more than 20 years of experience working with social incubators across different stages and contexts. The tool brings together lessons from very real organizational challenges. And while the tool has been refined using AI-supported analysis for clarity and consistency, it remains deeply grounded in the day-to-day realities of supporting entrepreneurs. So as you can see, this will be our agenda for today. What we'll do is you'll have an opportunity to really go through the diagnostic exercise. But before that, we'll have a quick check-in where we will get to know each other in the room. We'll do a walkthrough, an introduction of Paul Basil, who is the head of our growth guidance program and our special advisor at Pollinate Impact. And then he will guide us through the diagnostic tool, talk a little bit about how it was developed, what are the different aspects of this tool. And then we will go through a diagnostic exercise per organization so that you get to see real time which areas you think will need more priority moving forward. And then we'll do a little bit of reflection and sharing. And then one of you will have an opportunity to do a growth guidance spotlight with Paul, which is a way to kind of look through the toolkit together and experience what it would be like to be part of the growth guidance program in 15 minutes. And then lastly, we will go through the overview and next steps of the growth guidance program with Alejandro, who will talk us through the process and the rates of the program itself. All right. Thanks, Kavya. We do have upcoming events as well in case you are interested. So next week on May 13th, we are discussing what makes incubation programs effective. So we've ran a literature review, which we will be presenting next week, as well as gathering more insights from real experiences from incubators such as yourself. So if you'd like to join, please sign up. We also have a toolkit showcase on May 20th, where we will be showing Lend for Good and Vola, two places that are trying to unlock affordable and accessible capital for enterprises. So this is a really good session to attend if you are looking for that for your own incubatees. And then lastly, on May 26th, for those who are interested in kind of positioning their health enterprises better within donor priorities, we have our partner Assist Asia helping us do this workshop with us. So if you'd like to know more and want to attend our upcoming events, you can go to the website and sign up and register for the ones upcoming in May and those in June as well. Alrighty. I think that is it. We will now go to our check-in. So usually in Pollinate Impact check-ins, what we like to do is get to know each other in the breakout rooms. So this will be the same for this session where we will be sharing two simple things. And let me put that on the chat really quickly. So one will be to share your name, organization, and role. And then the other is what's one thing you're hoping to take away from this session and why? So we'd love to know. And then Kavya is just working on getting the breakout rooms ready. And then you'll be invited to the breakout room and you'll find your partner or your trio there with you. So Kavya, once you are ready.
Yes. Okay, everyone's gonna.
Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you had a good check-in and got to know a little bit about the people in the room. Maybe I'll invite the other group first. Paul's group, if anybody wants to share from their end on expectations or to share during the group. Yeah.
Derek or Neha, do you want to go?
Derek, would you like to share? Not to put you on the spot.
You have been put on the spot. I was in and out. My network kept dropping. So, but if I had what Rachel mentioned was she's in. Is that India? Did I get you right? And she's interested in learning more about support the businesses that they're supporting. I think for Paul, previously, or he's currently working with an investment bank or something like that, and looking to support growth stage enterprises with capital and something like that. I don't know whether I captured what.
Sorry. I think your network is coming out, but thank you, Derek. Thanks for sharing. Anything from your side, Paul, that you think we should highlight for the expectations from your group?
No, I think we're good. Let's
Okay,
keep
great,
rolling.
great. No worries. And then on our end, I think for Alejandro, Natasha, and myself, we heard that Natasha's also here to kind of learn more about what's happening in this space, what has been going on. And this is like a way for her to also hear about any challenges and how people have kind of come up out of it. So yeah, that's it for our group. Thank you so much for that check-in. So now
And
I
there's
will turn it
also
over.
Linda here. I see Linda.
Oh, yes. Hi, Linda. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hello, Rod. Is it Rod or Rod?
Rod. Yeah, that's right.
Rod. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everybody. My name is Linda Irene, and I'm joining you from Mozambique. It's a venture studio in Sierra Leone, Zimbabwe, and South Africa.
Mozambique. Yeah. Thanks, Linda. Can we ask you what's something that you hope to take away from this session today? Sorry to also put you on the spot, but we just had our check-in, so just wanted to see to hear from you as well.
First of all, I apologize for that background noise. I'm working from home. My expectations are I'd love to hear other people's experiences on how they've been running these accelerators in terms of fundraising, alternative revenue generating activities, and if they're investors here on the call, would love to have a conversation because as Mozambique, we're also building a warehouse facility Sierra Leone to basically provide early stage funding to MSMEs and SMEs. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Linda, for sharing. Okay, then I will turn it over to Paul to quickly introduce himself, and then we will then proceed to the diagnostic tool walkthrough. So over to you, Paul.
Well, the people from my group are going to hear it the second time, but this is for you, Linda. I founded an incubator called Villgro in India many years back. I ran it for around 2 decades, scaled it to incubating hundreds of enterprises, grew it geographically into Africa, Philippines, trained a whole bunch of incubators across the world, and then realized that doing that alone doesn't make sense, and therefore built this network along with many people in this room here, plus other incubators across the world who joined forces to actually build Pollinate Impact. While all this was happening, I also set up an impact investment fund, an equity fund that invests growth stage capital, $2 million types in a little bit more mature companies post-incubation. So incubation was anyway being done, but capital was missing to scale and grow these companies. So I set up a venture capital fund that does that. So I spend time doing that also. But incubation, as I mentioned earlier, is close to my heart. Really want to see incubators and accelerators thriving, and therefore spend a lot of time with Pollinate Impact. So here I am with all of you. Rod, back to you.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you so much. All right, so Paul is going to introduce to us the diagnostic tool. He's gonna provide us with context first on how it was made, and then go through how to kind of answer and analyze the toolkit itself. So let me just share my screen and magnify. Yeah, back to you, Paul.
Sure. So what you see here is a kind of a diagnostic which is to be used as a self-diagnosis. But essentially, this is to be used for reflection, which will allow you to understand what your gaps are, what your challenges are, where you need to focus and prioritize. It'll help you understand where you are today and where to focus next. Another 6 months later or 12 months later, if you again reapply it, it'll tell you where you've progressed, which of these dimensions you've progressed. But essentially, it covers 7 dimensions, what you see here in this sheet. It covers how financially sustainable you are, how effective your fundraising is, how strong your incubation acceleration modules are, how strong is your leadership, governance, is there succession plans in place, how strong is impact measurement? Because if impact is not measured, we're not in the business of doing impact incubation. So this diagnostic assesses capabilities, it assesses processes across certain maturity lens. So Rod, if you go to one of those tabs there, can you go to one of the tabs there? Yeah. And you will see that for each of the dimension, just give me a second. I think I'm losing out. I don't know why I can't see just give me a second. I can't see the, Rod, for some reason, I can't see the framework on the screen.
Let me try to reshare. Maybe that will help. Wait 1 second. There.
Right. So if you are an incubator incubating, it assesses through these statements how good and effective is your incubation. There might be more, but these are representative statements. For example, The third statement, if you were to look at it, mentors and experts are selected and engaged through a defined process. Any incubation, when you work with multiple types of companies, as an incubator, you might not be a great expert, but unless you match that company with the expert, with a good expert, a mentor, it just doesn't make sense. So as an incubator, you can map that particular diagnostic statement, whether you have engaged through a good defined process across the levels of maturity you see in the scores. You could say that you don't have a process in place, to saying, hey, we have a process in place, but very weakly implemented, to saying, hey, we have a great process, but consistently, repeatedly implemented. If you find that the score there is low, that's not a great sign of a good incubator. You might need to want to reflect. But the moment you do that, you start asking yourself, why are you low on that score? Is it because you haven't thought about it? Is it because in the geography that you are in, there aren't good mentors available? Or is it just because that mentors don't want to do it unless they're paid heavily, and things like that? If you pursue that path, if you go down that path, you will find alternative solutions to solving the problem of mentorship. And the logic is, if there aren't good mentors, you really can't build great companies, because you can't really concentrate all that expertise at the incubator with a few full-time staff. That's the logic. So similarly, there are these 7 dimensions. Rod, if you could go to the summary. There are these 7 dimensions, and each of these 7 dimensions have 6 sub-dimensions each, totaling to around 42 sub-dimensions. So if you were to really self-diagnose these 42 dimensions, took a point of view around each of that with a score, but when you apply the score, it's not the score that matters. What evidence are you using at the back to support it? Anecdotes behind it, examples behind it, right? If you have specific data, even better. From a time anchoring perspective, do that for the last 6 months. Don't do that. Think about it 3 years back, 4 years back, because you got to be more dated or recent with regard to how you're thinking about it. In short, the tool is meant to identify your strength areas, gaps, blind spots, misalignment sometimes. For example, in a recent case, we tested this with an incubator in Vietnam. And what came out was fascinating. There were, I think, 6 or 7 team members who took it. We saw differences across hierarchy, how they perceived, how they took this diagnostic and the results. There were differences across the functions that each of these team members were doing. So using all of that, you can actually even rally your team to a common goal and avoid misalignment between team members and the focus of the incubator. So essentially, the real value of this framework is not in the scores and the answers. It's in the insights, the conversations that go when you start evaluating why you've scored that incubator that way. And we're hoping that we can do that through a live example, if we're going to have one of you as to join that example, which I think Rod will walk us through. But Rod, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Paul. This is really exciting. And we will be doing this toolkit individually or per organization. I know Derek and Natasha are part of the same organization. So you'll be working on it for about 12 minutes in a breakout room. And then I will check up on you. We'll do it for about 12 minutes. And if one of you would like to volunteer, we would love to show what the growth guidance program looks like in a coaching conversation with Paul for about 15 minutes. So you'll go through the diagnostic tool together, you'll show it on screen, and then Paul will have that conversation with you. As if it was a growth guidance call. So welcome, Carol and Cledjo. Thank you for joining us. I know Carol's organization. Cledjo, can I just know what organization you're from, just in case you're with workmates, or Yeah. So you can let me know what organization you're from.
Okay,
So
hi,
I
Rod.
know. Hi. Hi, Carol.
Hi, I'm from Invest in Africa in Ghana.
No, yes. No worries. Yes. Thank you, Carol. For Clejo Albine. Sorry.
Hi everyone, I'm from
Hi.
Technoserve.
Sorry.
I'm from Technoserve.
Oh,
Technoserve Benin.
TechnoServe. Great.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Rod,
So
Rod, I was
yes, Paul.
wondering before you move to the breakout rooms for people to take this, do you want to put this on the screen, each tab for, a couple of seconds, and
Sure.
to get any immediate questions from the group in terms of the statements, how they need to fill it, etc.
Sure. No worries. I can do that. All right. So if you have any questions, now would be a good time. I will do what Paul suggested, which is I'll show each tab for about maybe 30 seconds, and then I'll move to the next one. Let me know if you have any questions or clarifications on the statements. All right, I will move to the next tab. Okay, I will move. All right.
Any questions, anyone? Okay, cool.
So again, as Paul mentioned, just be as honest and as forthwith as possible with your scores. It's a way to kind of self-assess, and reflect on your organization's standing. So the more honest you are, I think it will be a more accurate or better results for you to move forward with your growth. Right, we're down to our last one after this. So if there are no more questions, we will be soon opening the breakout rooms. But just before that, I am sending out the link to the diagnostic tool on the chat. And you will see that it's in a view-only access. So if you can, please make a copy already. I'll give maybe 1 minute before we start the breakout rooms for you to go to the link, make a copy of the document so that you can answer the sheet itself. So if there are no questions, we may do that now. Once you've made a copy, can you please give a thumbs up just so that I know that we are ready?
Rod, looks like
Excellent.
everyone is on the same sheet. Don't think it's made a copy of it.
Right. Can I hear from the others if have you made your copy? So if you can just put, you can file and make a copy because you can't. I think it's view access, right? So you won't be able to actually answer this if you stay on the page. So I hope you have the ability to make a copy through the sheet. Yeah, file and then make a copy.
Can you confirm if you've been able to make a copy, please?
I can confirm I have a
Thank you.
copy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
I also made a copy.
Great. Now as
Thank
well, I saw your thumbs up. Thanks, Carol. Derek, you as well. You all good?
Yeah, it's in the making a copy. It should be
Okay.
okay now. He has made a
Great.
copy.
Great. Awesome. Thank
So
you.
so my colleague and together.
Sorry,
We're
you're
two
breaking up, Derek.
some organized. Yeah, we've made a copy, no problem.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna open the rooms. It'll be 12 minutes, so you have 12 minutes to answer. I'll be checking up on you halfway through the time. And if you have any questions when you're going through it, you can just raise your hand. We'll see it, and then we'll go to your room. Alrighty. Enjoy, everybody. I know Carol is still just finishing up. So Carol has kindly said yes to volunteering because I know Neha, I asked and she's on her way home. So it might be difficult for her to do the spotlight conversation. So I think as long as Carol is finished, then she can do it. I know she needs a little bit of time. So while she's getting ready for it, just wanted to tell everybody in the room, we will be following Chatham rules here for at least this one, since we know that this diagnostic tool does go a little bit into detail about challenges for the organizations. So whatever has been expressed in the room, if we can just help make sure that it stays in the room so that it is a safe space for everybody here. And so that also Paul and Carol can be more candid about their coaching conversation. If that is okay with everybody, can I please get a thumbs up just to make sure we all understand and are aligned with the guidelines before we start. All right. Thanks, Neha. Thanks, Shami. Thanks, Shreya. All right. So Carol, just let us know once you're ready, and then I can spotlight you and Paul. Thanks, Natasha. Thank you.
And since we're waiting for Carol, Rod, do you want to use this time for their thoughts on how that reflection
right.
went?
Yes,
Maybe
thanks,
a
Paul.
minute or two.
Thank you so much for reminding me. Yes. If you can have that slide up, Kavya. Slide 6.
Give me a second.
Sure. No worries. All right, just a quick reflection for everybody. So our question for the reflection is, from the diagnostic you just completed, what is one insight or realization you're walking away with about your organization? So if you can type it out into the chat, I'll give you a minute, but don't send it yet. We'll send it together. When I say waterfall later, we will send it together. So I'm not sure if Pedro was able to finish the diagnostic tool yet, but no worries. You can finish it later if ever. But for those who have completed, we'd love to hear your thoughts on your insights or realizations. So I'll give you 1 minute to think about it, put it in the chat, type it out, and then once I say waterfall, we'll send it all together. All right, so let me just set my timer for 1 minute.
I'm done.
All right. Thanks, Carol. If you can also do the exercise with us, please. So just an insight or reflection you're walking away with about your organization after completing the diagnostic. You can just chat it up in the chat box, just type it out. And then once I say waterfall, we'll send it all together. Last 15 seconds. All right. Waterfall. We have our answers from the chat. Thank you, Neha. Thank you, Carol. We need to set up systems of sustainability as an incubator, shift from rights-based approach to economic viability and sustainability. Thank you. Carol mentions essentially in restart mode. We have to rebuild from scratch. All right. If the others want to share, Derek, if you'd like to share your insights also, that'll be great on the chat. Pedro also, if you have any, and Natasha as well. So thank you for sharing your insights. You can now stop sharing on our end, Kavya. And Carol, I welcome you to share your summary page if you can. If not, you can give the link to me and then I can share it while you and Paul have your conversation.
Let me see if I can do that. So how do I share it? Just copy the link and send it to you?
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
happy to hear from the other source. Thank you, Carol. I got it. Can you please give me access? Let me just. I requested access, Carol, sorry, so that I can share the screen.
Let me go. Okay. How do I give you access? It's through an email?
Correct, yes.
Okay, let me check
Should see
my
sure.
mail.
Sorry, while we wait for Carol, others in the room would love to share their insights also. You can still put it on the chat. Derek, we'd love to hear from you also. If you've completed the diagnostic, is there any insight or realization on your end? It'll be great to hear.
Sorry, Rod, I'm not getting a request. I'm not seeing your request.
I sent one again. In case that came through.
Just
Oh,
a
there.
sec.
Is this Carol's? Sharing screen. Oh, Derek is sharing. Thanks, Derek, for sharing. You can also put your insights on the chat so that we'll know what you've learned from filling out the diagnostic. But thank you for sharing, for showing us.
Derek, are you willing to talk about this? If so, I'm happy to get through a conversation with you on this.
Sure.
Okay, Derek, what I see from here is you guys are outstanding because everything is green. There's nothing that is fragile. It looks like everything is strong or really leading. But what I see is compared to the other various other pillars, your financial sustainability is strong and not leading. And the core incubation acceleration is also only strong but not leading. Usually I've seen the reverse. The core, which is incubation acceleration, is leading, and the other pieces around it are, maybe not as strong. So can we go into the tab around incubation acceleration? Would you be able to cast that tab around incubation acceleration? Yeah. Okay, great. So here, what I'm hearing you say is on statement number 5, you've scored yourself low. Could you talk a little bit about why you've scored yourself low?
So we are sector agnostic.
Right. And that's why you've scored yourself low.
We have stayed away from trying to design acceleration programs based on donor funding.
Based on?
Donor funding, in order not to dilute our mission or our focus.
This statement 5 is not connected to donors. It's about sectors, themes, stages, right?
Okay, so one, we are not an incubator. We don't run incubation programs to start with.
Okay.
We are an acceleration program. And we do not have any particular sector-specific cohorts. Like, for example, running agriculture-only cohort, health-only cohort. We are sector agnostic. And
sorry, that was my
yes.
question. Why have you chosen to be sector agnostic as opposed to being sector specialized? And the reason why I'm asking this question is there is a body of evidence to suggest that if you're sector specialized, you can add more value to the enterprises that you're supporting.
Could you share that with us to read and see? Perhaps we would glean some insights on that to see how we can perhaps pivot to that. So for the last 8-9 years, we have as of now supported over 3,050 businesses, and we have helped them raise over 27 million US dollars as either debt or equity. We don't do any other form of capital that we help them to raise. So, and one of the reasons why we refuse to go that way of getting a particular sector to focus on is perhaps we did not want to go that way. But if you share some of the information that you have, we could read through it and maybe it would help us. But when it comes to our programming, at first we had a 6-month cohort, which means that we would have 6 months of engagement with these entrepreneurs before we even start any investment conversations, because we do believe that by then we would have the ones that are raising capital. We will learn what is beyond the figures, what is beyond what they're giving us. We learn about the character, we learn about their teams, so that if we introduce them to our network of investors, we are not introducing business that we are not so familiar with. But we have also learned that there are some businesses that don't need 6 months. So we have iterated our program. We have a 3-month program, and we now have boot camp as well. That if a business needs a boot camp, they will come and attend the boot camp, and they get the need that. For this, We have not specialized. That's why we give ourselves a 2. But when it comes to other things like a type of incubators and all that, well, we know what we are looking out for. We are not looking for someone
Sure.
who has not sold. We are looking for post-revenue businesses.
So I get that. So I'll stay on this one where you've rated yourselves low and you've done
Yeah.
that intentionally. It's not that you've scored yourself low, but you're
Right.
responding to the statement here. But I'll give you 4 or 5 reasons why specialization
Right.
can probably improve the way you support your founders. Now,
Right.
and there are also reasons why you might not want to do sector specialization in certain contexts, which I am happy to talk about. But one reason why increasingly incubators are moving to sector specialization is because lots of donors are starting to see the ultimate impact not being achieved. So, for example, let me give you an example of anemia, which is prevalent in women across, and of course in men also. But anemia is a situation where the iron content in blood is low. But that you need multiple type of solutions to address that. For example, you need a solution to test for anemia. Test it at mass level and scale level. You need drugs to actually be administered, iron tablets for that. You need supply chains to distribute those tablets. So the point that I'm making is that you need multiple type of startups to solve that problem comprehensively. Donors are coming to the conclusion when supporting incubators that if they're supporting isolated cases of these startups, they're starting to realize that they're not eliminating the problem that they've set out to eliminate. For example, in this case, anemia. So increasingly, governments, donors, etc., are moving to an outcome-driven approach. And in this case, to eliminate anemia as an example. It could be eliminate blindness. You know, we have one incubator which is now in the business of their focus on eliminating needless blindness. And then they're looking at a whole innovations around it, innovations enterprises around it. So one reason is outcome focus. The second reason is talent specialization. You're able to get people who specialize in that talent, and you're able to add value to the startups because then people from the health sector know people in the health sector and are able to connect them with those in the health sector. You know, when you have multiple sectors which are very disconnected, it's very difficult to offer value. So that's the other reason why specialization is important. A third reason why specialization is important is once you start specializing, you get the best of entrepreneurs in that space to come to you because then you're known as that expert incubator in that space. So the best start coming to you because you're specialized in that space, which means when the best start coming to you, they're the most likely to be successful also that comes to you. So your startup success, your performance actually keeps going up, which means investors start coming into you because they need to access these outstanding startups. So there are multiple reasons why, and there's research that suggests that. And you don't need to necessarily pivot, but it's worth thinking about as a strategy. The little I know of the business network that you represent, I think it's just because you as a network are more agnostic. And therefore, the acceleration that you're doing is agnostic, is my understanding. But just like a consulting company would have verticals, specialist verticals, like a McKinsey would have multiple verticals, it's not a bad idea to create those verticals and specialize within those verticals with pockets of excellence within the TBN network to actually offer acceleration in that sector or theme or areas.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you have any other information that you could share that it will be of help to us. The other question that I have in that regard is, how do you guard against mission drift?
How would
Again,
mission drift happen if you became sector specialized?
right,
That was a question. Why do you believe mission drift will happen? Because your mission then is, as I mentioned earlier, my mission is to eliminate anemia. Mission is to provide affordable health care. And if that is a
right,
mission, I am lining up, accelerating startups, SMEs in order to achieve that mission. So why do you think mission drift will happen?
all right. There is a funding in Kenya. We've seen some of the accelerators that specialize. For example, if it's the climate, if it's and he rubbished and trashed climate, almost all accelerators that have and what had to shut down because there was no funding because of specialization. If it was agriculture, different pockets on specific agriculture value chains ended up shutting down. So how do you guard now against, for example, beyond funders keep shifting? Do you also keep shifting?
Good question. Good question. I think that's where your strategic plan counts, because
Right,
then creating a landscape of potential donors with stable plans, and you're doing a peek into the future with some of
right,
those leading donors, government policies. So if you were to do a good strategic landscape,
right,
in fact, one incubator called, which is a climate incubator in Southeast Asia, did that with us. They wanted to map the future, and that included looking at sectors, looking at types, stages of startups, looking at themes, looking at donors who could support that, the stability of the policies of those donors, government policies that actually is there to stay, and so on and so forth. So I think that peak, if you do properly, if you have visibility for the next 10 years, nothing is stable beyond that. But at least if you have visibility for that 10 years, you would have built
right,
capability and you would have built a sector focus. But post 10
right.
years, what will happen, God knows. So, I mean, having visibility to some extent is important, and that gives you that stability, and therefore mission drift is unlikely to happen.
Right, thank you. Just come again when you talked about what they were able to focus on, project. They looked at the sectors, they looked at themes and the policies. What was the other one?
Funding availability.
Okay.
So when you map that out,
And
that'll
yeah,
give you a good visibility.
right.
So Derek, Rod wants us back.
That's very
But
helpful. That's very
I know
helpful.
this was a quick one, but happy to talk more.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, team, sorry for taking the session. Sorry.
No, no worries, Derek. No, that was a great conversation with Paul. Thank you so much for sharing. And sorry, Carol, that you had problems with sharing the sheet. But again, which Alejandro will talk about in a bit, there are opportunities to do a one-on-one with Paul soon this month to go through your own diagnostic toolkit with him. But before we move to Alejandro, I just want us to do a quick kind of reflection after this conversation. Derek and Paul were able to chat a little bit about the challenges that Paul saw through the diagnostic, and then Derek had really great questions. So I want to maybe hear, or even if in the chat, what did you notice about the conversation? Were there any questions that helped surface insight for you? Or did you notice that helped surface insight for Derek? Or what was helpful for you? And maybe if not to put you on the spot, Derek, again, but if you, from your own conversation and experience with Paul throughout this quick conversation, was there anything that stood out as being helpful or that surfaced insight for you and your organization?
Yeah, the organization Southeast Asia that he says He worked with Climate Something, and how they were able to look at the future, 10 years, looked at sectors, themes, and what. That is something that was insightful, something that would be because one thing that we have realized, at least for Eastern Africa, we just recently launched Zambia in March, and South Africa, that was November. We're relatively new there, but in East Africa, we've been for over a decade. One thing that we've realized here is that the enterprise, almost after every 2 years, 3 years, shifts. There's a shift that usually happens. And so many of us have been looking at not beyond 3-4 years. Speak right now, the East African Enterprise Support Organization ecosystem is going through a shift. You might notice there's a is happening in East Africa when it comes to the ecosystem. On such calls, you would have over 20, 30 from Kenya, from Uganda happening. That is data already indicating that things have slowed down. In re-strategizing, what do we do next? Where are the donors? Where are they going? And most of them, they're like, Derek, we also do not know exactly what's on the horizon, but we are scouting. They are piloting a number of things. But I like the approach that Paul has suggested, and something that we will be looking into beyond what looking beyond the donors that have been funding the ecosystem currently, but now looking beyond that, the ones that are now, how does that look like? Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Derek, for sharing. I'm glad that it was a insightful conversation with you. What more if you had an hour, right, with Paul to talk this through? So, yeah, I want to hear from the others. If one more, maybe Carol, Neha, Natasha, Kajo, any of you, if you have any insights, anything that you found helpful from the conversation, sparked insight for you or your organization. See a chat. The need to be sector specific and the benefits, if that will be something I take back. Great. Thanks, Neha, for sharing. All right, so thanks everybody. I hope you did get something out of the conversation, and hopefully that once you see your diagnostic and want to go through it with Paul, there are opportunities to do that, but maybe to not lead on so much, I will welcome Alejandro to talk a little bit about the growth guidance program and then the opportunities that you have to go through these coaching conversations with Paul as one of the coaches, and then there are others as well in the program. So over to you, Alejandro.
Thank you, Rod. And thank you everyone for being here. I think it was a really insightful exercise with what we just experienced with Paul. And that's part of the magic that we are offering through the growth guidance program. But before I start talking of the growth guidance program itself, I want to give you a little bit more of context of how the program was born. As you know, we are a network of social accelerators focused on the Global South. And with the experience of Paul Basil, we started having some questions like social incubators and accelerators. We offer or create a space for social entrepreneurs to pause, reflect, and grow. We offer them tools. We look to strong their building capacity and offer a lot of benefits. Yeah. But who creates or offer us that safe space to incubators themselves? Where can we reflect on the incubation strategy, the fundraising strategy? Growth guidance programs born to fill that gap. Growth guidance creates a structure, a space for leadership teams to diagnose what truly matters and co-create solution with focus. As you experience with the exercise where Paul start doing some questions regarding a specific thematic, in this case, if the accelerator is thematic agnostic or not, what we look to do during the 6 sessions is to diagnose the signs and deliver tailored solutions as we experienced a few minutes ago. Growth guidance right now it's running its 4 cohorts. We already run 150 sessions to 23 incubators in 18 countries. And part of that, or from that experience, is that we start creating new tools and we start to making the program better and better. The self-diagnostic tool that you just used is part of the result of those 153 sessions. It's the result of not only that experience, but 20 years of Paul experience accelerating and creating accelerators across the global south. Can we pass for the next one? I forgot, something important is that the 4 cohort is the first cohort that is offering a great variety of experts and guides with different expertises and with background in different regions. And we do this to offer the best coaching experience and adapt to each one of your context. How the program is run? The program is designed in a 3 months period where you're going to have 6 coaching sessions bi-weekly. The idea is that from each session, you can have not only the conversation, but you end with some insights and questions that you can work on for the following 2 weeks. As the participant ask, do you have more resources that you can share with us? We have a tool library that we have been creating not only for this program, but for all the members of the Pollinate Network, where we look to give you and arm you with the correct tools to face every single challenge. The next slide, please. So to make this more clear, I want to let me walk you through one example to make this more concrete. Okay, so this is a food incubator in West Africa that came to the growth guidance program with a very common challenge. They were doing a lot. They were offering different type of services and to the members, but they didn't have a clear understanding of which activities were actually creating real value. And there was a real risk of spreading themselves too thin. So what we did in the first 2 to 3 sessions, we start building clarity. We focus on understanding their context and looking their financial performance, not just what they were doing, but how to say, what actually was working of those services that they were offering. That first sessions allowed us to move from assumptions to evidence and identify where the gaps were located. Then in the session 4, we shift the perspective outward. Instead of looking internally, we bring in the customer voice. We start asking, okay, how or which is the value that you are perceiving from the service that we are offering, and gathering that feedback and starting to define who they really were serving across the different services. In other words, we start understanding what were the real value that the customers or the members were receiving from this accelerator. Once that was clear, the work becomes about focus. How can we strengthen those services that were generating value? Those services where the customer says, yeah, this is valuable for me. and we help to sharpen them value proposition and narrow down with specific targets. At the end, we synthesize the learning and define a roadmap so this incubator can keep applying the work and the conclusions that we together build from the Growth Guidance Program. I think this is a really interesting example, so you can have an overall understanding of how the Growth Guidance Program generates value to its members. So the next, exactly. So these are the pricing for the Growth Guidance Program. The member price is the first one. It's based on the incubator budget. And in the second line, you have the non-members price. We are offering you, for being part of the Grown Lab, a 30% discount on the non-members price. The members price is fixed, but the non-members price, we are offering you a 30% discount. And to close, I want to invite you to next slide, please. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put the E at the website. Sorry. I want to invite you to check our Growth Guidance website, which Ruth is going to share it in follow-up email and in the chat. There you can find all the information regarding the guides, which is their expertise, which is their background, some real cases, and the program through the previous participant voices. And then you can book an hour of coaching expertization with Paul to keep working, keep diving in the self-diagnostic tool that you just feel and any doubts that you can have regarding the program. And with that, I finish my intervention, Rod. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alejandro. Thank you for going through the growth guidance program with us. So for everyone's access, I did share the links below. I will also be sharing that with you when we send out the thank you emails, so you don't have to worry. But I shared 3. So one, as Alejandro talked about, the website. So if you need more information, the growth guidance program, it's there. If you're ready to book a call with Paul, there's a free call this month for you to do the first step of the GGP, which is like going through your diagnostic toolkit, just like what Derek was doing, although a little bit longer. So Derek, again, if you want to do a follow-up call with Paul, you can still book that through the Calendly link. Slots are limited, so book as soon as you can. And then the application form. So if you think you're ready to join either our next cohort or the next cohort's coming up, you'll see the dates there. The application form is there for you to fill out. So in case you have any questions, we'll also send you Alejandro's email through the thank you email so that you can coordinate with him in case there are other suggestions or any clarifications on your end in terms of the program. As you saw also on the rates, it is quite the value of money is very much lower if you join the membership. So if that's something that you are interested in or have been looking for a sign to join, maybe now is the time to join the network. The members price is quite significantly lower than the non-members price. So if it makes sense for you, then maybe joining the membership and going through the GGP through that member price might work better. Anyway, things to consider, right? So, okay, so thank you so much again for joining us today. I will just launch the feedback form. If everybody could help us, please answer the form on the screen. And while we are doing that, yeah, I'd like to invite Paul one last time in case there's anything that you'd like to add or like to close with before we end the session for today.
No, I'm good. I think please go back, reflect on the self-diagnostic a bit more. And I'd really encourage, happy to spend time through a 1-hour conversation, which you can book whenever you're free and you want to talk about it. So happy to be supportive as always.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
This
please,
one,
Natasha.
question.
Go ahead.
So with the booking and the sessions, are they one-on-one sessions? Can we have like our team join, or is it just strictly one-on-one?
You can do more than one for sure, but it'll be great if it's not many. I would say restrict it to 3, but up to 3 is fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Natasha. Yeah, open to also having questions while we wait for others to fill up the feedback form in case there's any burning questions for Paul about the program.
I can ask another question.
Yes,
How
please.
long is the program?
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
And the sessions will be once a week, twice a week?
Bi-weekly, 1 hour bi-weekly.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Natasha. Right. If there are no more questions, once you are done with the feedback form, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that this gave you new insight into your organization, what needs work, and then as well as that there are interventions available within the Pollinate Impact Network that could help you improve your organization's standing. So hopefully we'll see you in our next growth guidance program cohort. And yeah, don't forget to book your calls with Paul if that is helpful for you. So thank you again for joining us and have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.